the leadership qualities, and the essence can solve people crisis. Okay, most of you. And my question is, why are we having only thousands of people doing that? Why are we waiting for our alumni to make an impact, and we are counting the billion of alumni, million of alumni which we have, and count on them? Why don't we bring those people right now to the organization and teach them those values in this current instant, so we actually can solve the crisis way much faster than waiting 30 years from now when we finally end up our ISEC experience?
I'll continue from where you ended. Since the inception of this organization in 1948, we've seen a lot of people going through the ISEC experience, and we believe that this kind of people are getting what we describe as value-based leadership. But my problem is, these people are supposed to be ambassadors of the value of ISEC. And yes, they are ambassadors of the value of ISEC. But how well do we know their impact towards other people living in the corporate world, in government, in NGOs, or wherever they are working today? For me, I believe that as ISEC, we need to take a very active responsibility in making sure that our ambassadors out there are doing exactly what we give them. And that is how I see we bridging the gap between this unethical leadership and what we want to see in our leaders of tomorrow or our leaders of today. So I believe that we need to have our ambassadors up of the game, trying to show to the world that this is the kind of values that can take the world forward. Because without humans having this kind of positive attitude, there is no way the world will be a better place tomorrow.
Final question, which has to be finally. Information and communications technologies are transforming the world. What do you see as the potentials and dangers in these technologies? At the Rio Plus 20 Summit, Maurice Strong was one of the oldest people there, said, IT is going to make most jobs, really most jobs today. Nobody should be deprived of ethics society because they can't get a job. So how do we fit information technology in both what ISEC is doing, but what's happening in the world, and what's happening in the tourism industry?
Schwab's book is the fourth industrial revolution. We're upon it. It is upon us. You either get digital or perish. But what does that truly mean for the world and for ISEC? For the world, it means that, yeah, there is a rise of artificial intelligence. Yes, there's a rise of virtual reality. Yes, there's a rise of robotics. Yes, there's a rise of digital transformation that's going to take over a lot of things. But it also means that, at least for the next decade, there are going to be jobs that require creativity and judgment. And that means that robots and artificial intelligence and everything that we're talking about right now can't do those jobs. So for me, the key thing that everyone needs to understand, and ISEC needs to understand as well, is that a digital transformation does not equal dehumanization. So, as an organization, and as with the world, we need to stay ahead of the times, and yes, embrace technology, and all of that, all the good stuff that's happening. But we can't let technology dazzle us, because it's dazzling. But actually use technology to support and better lives.
Also, I completely agree to what Ian's point of view was. And it was very interesting yesterday. I stumbled upon an article on LinkedIn because it said that now if you need to choose a Valentine, you need to go to the system and put your codes and genes and all those things and you get a Valentine. Human beings want to find answers. Right? We just found answers to calculation wave. Let's view it as that. Something that Einstein wrote hundreds of years back. Right? Now, IT will happen. We are in a human advancement. We want to use technology. We want to be in space. We want to do all those things. Human beings will ever bring whatever they want to do. That's it, right? Now, there will be these discussions and comments about the job being created, not being created, this happening, that happening. But that's what probably I see as the biggest role of ISEC as an organization playing is we develop those people who can go around and facilitate that space, that environment for a lot more people to see what they can do in the world. With technology, with everything. With anything is possible. It's not like a one-point topic. So for me, it's a lot about how human wants to find answers to things and how they are using technology. They have found everything, all the answers around the world. Now they are finding answers inside the body, and that's going to be a point for that as well. So,
Okay, so on a different point, I think that in the long term, like the whole digital transformation and technology's purpose is to make work more inclusive. But in the short term, my one trend is that it will be more exclusive. For example, access to internet. In Europe, there's around 75% of the population that have access to internet. In Africa, it's 28. So I think that in the short term, we need to think how to tackle that issue. But another part is that we as generation, millennials, generation Z, another generation that will come, we are very common with technology and internet and digitalization. But how about parents and grandparents that are still existing in this world? But for example, I see my mother having an issue with using internet and even a computer. So I think it's a matter of how involve others in this digital transformation, not exclude people.
Thank you. So potential, I see that this technology revolution that we are living has a huge potential if it has, if it has a social focus on it. Because let's say that we are creating solutions for poverty, technological solutions for poverty. We can create social business that can be pretty much disruptive because of technology, and that actually can lead to, for example, give free access to education to everybody in the world. So you can actually be educated through your cell phone or computer, and you don't need to even go to a university. So in the future, you won't even need to be having let's say, your title or something, because you can actually be educated by yourself. So these kind of solutions, technological solutions, I see them as a huge potential, but the problem would be when this technology is not used with a social emphasis or is not used with the proper values. The danger that I see there is the human part. If you go completely digital and you can manage your whole life on a cell phone, then where is the development of your inner, like your soul? Where is your soul development? Where is that? That would be the question that I would bring. And yeah, also technology will bring new jobs.
So there was a very interesting topic in Davos this year about what is the template for peace in cyber age. And for me, that's the question: how can we bring a peace in the digital transformation moment? And it comes down to two answers. The first thing is accessibility. How many people actually have access to those technologies? And second is who is developing them and what are those people's values? And with those two, when we are taking into consideration that the speed is the new currency and everything is developing so fast, the demographics and the differences between regions, between countries, between generations are going deeper and deeper. And a lot of conflicts might be raised just because of accessibility and the values of people. So for me, that's one of the concerns which I have right now about the digitalization. I think it might bring an amazing future, but only if we take care of those two problems.
So, the fourth industrial revolution is going to bridge the gap between humans and machines, or robots, anyhow you want to put it. For me, I think it brings positive impact at the same time negative impact to this world. With regards to positivity, governments are going to even change the way they operate. Surveillance are going to happen in the highest level. If we're citizens, no matter what you do, you are going to be assessed. And this also brings the problem of privacy. Privacy is going to be restricted. People will not have the freedom to live the life that they can live. Because no matter what you do, your life is being monitored. And this is an impact on human life. And we are not even going to operate as human beings, with heart, with soul, with feelings, but rather we are going to operate like machines. And on the other hand, too, like businesses are going to have different ways of serving the needs of their customers. Because things are going to be happening so fast. But on the other hand, it's going to bring inequalities. People are not going to find jobs. But the job that you can do can be done by machine. So you are not needed. So for me, I see it from two different angles. The fact that it will bring a lot of prosperity to people. At the same time, it's going to also bring a lot of tremendous negative effect to the human nature.
I would like to bring the same point as I brought yesterday about authenticity and intelligence. So technology, from an intelligence point of view, will help us to make us faster and more efficient. But when we're talking about the value delivery, it's not here, but here. So when we're talking about the evolution of technology,
technology, it cannot interact with our values. So for example, as Isaac, our value that we deliver to young people across the world is leadership development. And I believe that leadership development is not possible without the human interaction. That's why we will never develop leadership through mobile devices. And that's our uniqueness that Isaac will have in 5 or 10 years from now, when technology will take over any single piece of the world.
Thank you very much. You all kept the topics. Remember, this was the high quality of the candidates for national president. They're able to manage their time so well. Now it is for you as the audience to ask questions of the panel up here. So those of you who have questions want to take the discussion further, there are 2 hands already. Ladies first.
My question is for Nala regarding the topic of climate change. You mentioned that it's an issue that will just, fix itself. So I'm wondering what your perspective is regarding the populations of small island developing states who are at much higher risk of literally, drowning right now because of rising sea levels. How would that be tackled in terms of the population at most risk?
I don't really agree with your point. There are some people who are higher risk than the others. But allow me to ask this question again, is how many of those people have we actually met? Not that we need validation more things, but it's a fact that's factuated to be a fact. Right. So again from the last question that I answered about human beings is trying to find answers to a lot of things. And it's completely alright. Sea level is rising. I was in Egypt. It was the coldest in a very long time. Things are going to happen. They are at risk. So if there's anything that we can do with that, let's go and do it. But I go back to saying it's not about I making a comment or I doing something for it. It's about first embracing that. Okay, people have a risk of drowning. In how many years? 5 years. How do you know? Geographically, what data that we have. How do we embrace that first? People are at risk, and what can we do about that? If we are solution oriented like that as an organization or as governments or as people, then we can find solutions to a lot of things, and then we can compensate humanity from being doomed. But if we use it to generate more money in New York or Washington DC, then it's not going to be that bigger a deal. Or probably, I don't know. That's how I think about it.
Next question.
First of all, congratulations guys on the process so far. My question is what? So we compare ourselves a lot with the and Uber. While I think the biggest difference that we have is their ability to deliver instant gratification with their service. We compare ourselves to Uber and Airbnb a lot, while I think the biggest difference between us and them is their ability to deliver instant gratification with their service. So what other organizations who deliver similar value proposition would you mention, and what can we learn from them?
One more example. So you're asking for organizations that actually do this?
An organization with similar value proposition.
With similar value proposition. The thing is that that's a very unique value proposition, and I don't see that other organizations with very unique same value proposition than ISEC, and that's why I think that the product of ISEC is actually copy-pasting what other organizations do, but just having key learning points from them. For example, we're not a startup. ISEC is not a startup. We have a startup dynamics inside us because of our nature of changing leaders every year. That's true, and that's why our culture is okay to become agile and entrepreneurial. But we are not a startup, so we cannot pretend that we are going to have exactly the same things they're having. So when we quote them, because we know that, for example, as international, we benchmark a lot from them, we need to take the key learnings from them. If the key learning is a good classification system, an instant one, then if that's the key learning, then we need to adapt it to ourselves. What does it mean in ISEC, and how can we actually develop one in ISEC? So I wouldn't, I would tell everyone, don't look at the others as we need to just copy paste whatever they do. We are like a combination between the NGO, with the startup, with kind of a bureaucratic structure as well, kind of a company. So our nature is very complex, and you cannot find a specific one that you can actually say that's the same thing.
Next question.
Thank you to all the candidates for their very insightful answers. My question goes to Dimitri. For one of your answers, you thought about creating collaboration between ISEC and Coca-Cola. So here's my question. How do you combine a collaboration with a company that envisions replacing water by Coke?
If the envision replaces water by Coke, doesn't mean that ISEC cannot influence what they envision. By putting hands together on what we strive for is leadership development, and by using resources that other companies have, we can bring an impact to the society and showcase it to our partners in order to represent what together we can do for the world. And by that we can influence what other companies envision. And this is the role of ISEC, to lead the world in the way to peace and fulfillment of humankind's potential, not just in terms of leadership developed by ourselves, but in terms of leading others around us to strive for the same.
Question here.
Congratulations to all the applicants. My question is to Neil. The UNDP released the Human Development Report 2015 just recently. Most of the issues that was brought up revolved around jobs and so the UNDP released the Human Development Report of 2015. My question is going to Niels, and the report must be centered around the work and the job linked to the demographic dividends. So how do you think ISEC can harness the potential in the youth of today to reap the demographic dividends?
Sure. Yeah, yes, UNDP, yes, I remember, I also spoke about that a little bit, the Youth Action Summit, where we were talking about unleashing the potential of 1.2 billion people. And in that, there was a conversation about demographics, and I think particularly with ISEC at this point of time, if we need to take, so here's the first thing, right? I truly believe that we need to reach out to more demographic. We need to diversify the current state of the organization, but it needs a systematic approach. Because we've been talking about this a lot. We've been saying, yeah, we want to do this, we want to be accessible to everyone everywhere and all of that. But then how do we do that? And so for me, I think we need to balance things out. There is a certain part of the demographics that work for us. So there's 20% of the entire demographic that works for us. Let's focus on the 20% that works for us and figure out how to improve that. And then let's focus on the other 80% of the demographics that we're currently not in. With people that don't have access to resources, disabled, people with below the poverty line, and all of that, and then start exploring that part. So that's the 80% that we invented. That's the 80% that we explored. And then from there we look at partnerships. So we put that demographic into a business model. I'm sorry I have to bring this up. But we put that within the business model and say, okay, if that is our customer segment, and we realize the customer segment has a certain limitation, then what kind of partners do we need? One, be able to overcome that customer segment and their limitation. Or two, what kind of partners do we need to make our customers within that business model of reaching out to a new demographic to actually make that business work? I hope that answers your question.
Next question here.
Okay. First of all, I'm really happy and super proud of all the candidates because all of them have something that unique. I would just like to make a combination of technology and we have to do one. So my question is for Dimitri. This digitalization that we are talking about. I was reading something yesterday on social media posted by the Ukrainian city who unfortunately couldn't make it because of visa issues. That technology and especially social media, instead of making us closer, at some point of time we noticed that it's making us like farther from each other, not caring enough. And many candidates have talked about this care that we should bring into our operation. So how can we make sure that digitalization, by allowing us to follow the trend, still make sure that we have this human at the center of what we do, and the leadership development as something that can bring the value and leaders to peace instead of keeping us distant from each other. This is my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. Take an example of social media. What I believe we are not doing right now is we do not use social media in a meaningful way. I want to share some frustration with the youth speak campaign that we are running right now, when we as generation of ISECers pushing out